Who would live in a house like this? And more to the point, where even is it? This half has traditional Japanese furniture and fixtures. There's even a family bath. But this part looks more like an alpine chalet. There's a steep roof, oriel windows, a veranda, a pergola, plantation shutters. There's a beautiful dissonance about this house. Living here would feel like being at home and on holiday at once. And that's the secret of the Studio Ghibli effect. Here in the West, Ghibli's films are often thought of as the pinnacle of Japanese animation, with a perspective that's inseparable from the national identity of their artists and filmmakers. But so much of what makes Ghibli Ghibli comes down to the way their films wriggle into the space between cultures, so that wherever you're from, they have that elusive fairy tale quality of feeling both familiar and strange. Studio Ghibli was founded in 1985 by Hayao Miyazaki and Isao Takahata, although the two men had already worked together for years, first at Toei, where Takahata made his first feature, The Little Norse Prince. When it was released in 1968, that film redefined Japanese animation, shaking the industry out of its early Disney hero worship, with its mature, morally nuanced storytelling and dizzyingly dynamic framing and movement. The Little Norse Prince, which was originally released as The Great Adventure of Horus, Prince of the Sun, was inspired by an epic saga of the Ainu, the marginalised indigenous people of northern Japan. Fearing political fallout, Toei demanded that Takahata ensure the film couldn't be identified as a specifically Ainu story. At first he resisted, but as his team wove in elements from other epic and mythic traditions, he saw that the world and plot of the film had both become excitingly hard to pin down, and that far from neutering the film, this cultural intermingling generated its own sense of wonderment. That discovery later became Ghibli's MO. Look at Laputa Castle in the Sky, the first film produced under the studio brand. Its art style is typical anime, wide expressive eyes and a heightened fantasy setting, but its inspirations come from far further afield. The architecture and landscapes were inspired by Miyazaki's visits to Wales in the early 1980s, where the strange iron sentinels came from an early animated Superman short by the Fleischer brothers. Jules Verne inspired the fantastical machinery, and Jonathan Swift its title. Even in the real world, this technique can be just as effective. Take this sequence from the studio's unsung masterpiece Only Yesterday. A present-day Japanese safflower harvest is accompanied by a traditional Bulgarian folk chant, creating an astral pastoral mood that's dreamily unmoored to particulars of time and place. Ghibli's magpie eye for great ideas and images from all cultures, and their ability to stitch them so seamlessly into their own stories, is one reason their work feels so culturally alive. Among their most fruitful finds have been 3 children's books by English writers: Diana Wynne-Jones's Hell's Moving Castle, Mary Norton's The Borrowers, and Joan G. Robinson's When Marnie Was There. All of these were brought into the Ghibli canon with a cross-cultural twist. The latter 2 by director Hiromasa Yonibayashi, who has since set up his own studio, Ponok, with some former Ghibli artists. Ponok's first film was Mary and the Witch's Flower, an adaptation of another English children's book, Mary Stuart's The Little Broomstick. It feels ineffably English, but also ineffably not. Characters greet one another with a bow, while packed lunches are carefully wrapped in furoshiki cloth. By now, that artistic dissonance is familiar, but the effect of its magic is as powerful as ever.